Jason Reynolds' website headline reads, "Here's what I do, not write boring books." How great is that? As with everything Jason Reynolds does, he seems to be speaking directly to the young people he's always trying to reach. There's a reason the Library of Congress chose him as the National Ambassador for Young Adult Literature. Last year, I created an Instagram series all about Jason's incredible work and different ways that you might use it in the classroom. But I've heard from a number of folks who aren't on Instagram or who'd just like a deeper dive. So today, I've decided to walk through that series here on the podcast, explaining everything I know about Jason Reynolds' arc of work and how you can use it in your classroom. As always, I will share my recommendations here with the caveat that you know your students, parents, and community best, so you should preview content before sharing it in class. Ready to dive in? I'm so excited for this one. Welcome to the Spark Creativity Teacher Podcast, a podcast for English teachers looking for more creativity, more engagement, more joy, and no more scripted curriculum, lesson planning ruts, or boring book lists. I'm Betsy Potash, and I'm honored you're trusting me to help. You're not alone on this creative journey anymore. I bet you already know and love Jason Reynolds. He has been everywhere of late, and the success of his verse novel, Long Way Down in the Classroom, has been hard to ignore. But there is so much more to his work than that one amazing piece of fiction. He has written a veritable rainbow of fiction books, helped adapt the book Stamped for younger audiences, and read it out loud for the audio version. He's been featured in a documentary. He's joined several artists for striking collaborations. He's run a video writing prompt series for middle schoolers, and he's advocated for verse novels in the classroom. And that's not even everything. There's so much. Oh, and did I mention his podcast featuring his mother? That's the one thing he's done that I haven't explored yet, but I'm pretty excited to dive in. So let's start with his books. There are so many, and I really can't choose a favorite. Ghost is my pick for middle schoolers, with a highly compelling main character, a sport setting, which is so strangely rare and so needed for so many kids, and a series of 3 more books to chase it once kids are hooked. Ghost is the start of the track series, and in my opinion, each of the books is really outstanding in its own way. Jason Reynolds reads part of Ghost out loud on YouTube. And I'm going to go ahead and link it in the full show notes over at nowsparkcreativity.com. There are going to be a bunch of videos and links in today's show notes on the website. So I'm really going to recommend that you go and check out the full show notes online so you can watch some of these videos and explore the links. All right, next, let's talk about Long Way Down for a second. This is maybe the book that has most put Jason Reynolds on the map for English teachers. It's a novel in verse. It's incredibly effective with both reluctant readers and voracious readers. It's just an outstanding read. I see most teachers using it with 9th and 10th graders. That's also probably where I would put it. It's not that it's a really difficult read, but it's more mature in its content. It's the story of one very long-feeling elevator ride as a boy wonders whether he should avenge his brother's death after his murder. And on the way down, floor by floor, he meets the ghosts of friends and family that he has lost to gun violence. So he's got this question in his mind. Does he have to follow kind of the unwritten rules and avenge his brother? And he has all these conversations on the way down. And when he gets to the bottom, the elevator doors open. I won't ruin the ending for you, but it's a very compelling book. There's also a beautifully rendered graphic novel version of it. Because it's a verse novel, it's very accessible to begin with, but why not have accessibility and beautiful illustrations? I really enjoyed the graphic novel version. I also like the fact that there's a book trailer of the graphic novel version available online with Reynolds narrating. This could be something really cool, like for a book trailer Tuesday, or if you just are reading the verse novel and you want to showcase part of the illustrated version, you could show this trailer. Okay, another of his books that I personally found very compelling is All American Boys. Now, this one is a collaboration between two writers. Jason Reynolds wrote it together with a partner, and it tells a complicated story of one innocent teenage boy and the police violence he encountered, and then the way that experience for this boy reverberated through the community. It takes a look at systemic racism from a lot of different angles and unexpected angles, and I feel like there's so much opportunity for thought, for discussion, for writing, for really like considering the incredible complexity of the issue through the book. So this is something I would consider for older students, probably seniors, maybe 11th graders, or early college students. Okay, next I want to talk about Ain't Burned All the Bright. Now, this is one that I feel like a lot of people don't know, and it is very unusual. It's unlike any book I've ever read. It's basically a short poem. I think it's maybe only 10 lines, but those 10 lines are spread across hundreds of beautifully illustrated, boldly defined pages of art. I mean, it's an experience to read this book. Reynolds and his collaborator, Jason Griffin, really show what can happen when two artists who are very talented work together, mixing and matching their two different kinds of brilliance to create something new. It's not a graphic novel. It's not like an illustrated children's book. It's like a different genre. It's something new, which alone could be very fascinating to discuss with students, to have students write about, like, what is this genre? What is it doing? What, is the main actor the art? Is the main actor the words? Are they creating some kind of new combination that affects us in a new way? I find it to be a fascinating book. You can get a strong sense of it through the trailer for it, again, which I'm going to have embedded in the show notes on the website, so you can kind of see what I mean. It's about a boy. He's kind of reeling in his home because a lot of things are going on at once. I think it's his grandfather is sick in the room down the hall. The implication is that his grandfather has COVID. And at the same time, there are all these protests going on TV, which the implication feels like it's protesting after the murder of George Floyd. And you see this boy trying to process how his whole family is feeling about all the things that are happening. And it could be COVID and the protests following George Floyd, or it could be other factors. In some ways, it's kind of, it could approach many different points in history. But ultimately, the boy finds reason to hope, and kind of this beautiful art and this processing of everything that the family is going through this pretty young, I think, middle school boy's narration of poetry is just, I don't know. It's really an experience that you have to experience. I think that you should go and read Ain't Burned All the Bright. It takes about an hour, and think about how you might feature it in choice reading, or as part of a book club, or as part of like a very small mini unit, right? I mean, it takes about an hour to read. It's a 10-line poem. The art plays a huge role. Okay, to talk about just one other collaboration that Jason Reynolds has done over in the book sphere, he helped to adapt Stamped, which is a book by Ibram X. Kendi, the history of kind of racism and anti-racism. And he adapted it into a book for young adults. So Reynolds' version is just more approachable, easier to understand for younger people. I listen to it as an audiobook, and I think that is a fantastic way to consume this book, because Jason Reynolds reads it out loud. And if you've heard him speak at all, he has a beautiful, poetic voice. And so if you're interested, you can listen to it yourself, and then maybe you can find some audio snippets from it that you could use in class as a companion to other books. Okay, next, following all of these books, I wanted to briefly touch on Jason Reynolds' short stories. He's got a couple of just like fun, joyful short stories that I know of. He probably has more, but The Ingredients is one that I have bumped into inside the anthology Black Enough. And it's just such a fun story. It just makes you feel like you're a kid in summer. It focuses on this group of boys. They're walking home from the pool and they're talking about what they want to have for a snack. You know that feeling when you're just starved after being in the water all day and you're happy and you're like going to go eat something fun. They're just imagining these huge sandwiches they're going to make when they get home. And the reality is that none of them are actually going home to like massively stocked sandwich fridges. So it's really just like an exercise of joyful imagination as they build these sandwiches in the air as they walk along. And it's just like very lighthearted and fun. And it captures that flavor of summer, friendship, and imagination. So that's one of his stories that I enjoy. Another one that I've discovered more recently is available free on Common Lit. It's called First Day Fly. And this is another just fun one. It's about a middle schooler who's getting ready for his first day of school. And it's all about the outfit he's going to wear and the kind of incredible effort that has gone into this outfit and how the outfit the process of preparing the outfit was representative of sort of this boy's care about starting school, and also it kind of reveals some details about his relationships with his brother, with his mother. It's a fun, just little short story that would fit well early in the year, maybe even on the first day, since it's First Day Fly. I mean, it's all about his first day look. You could have kids write about sort of how they prepared for the first day of school and whether it was anything like the experience of this boy. Okay, next I want to talk a little bit about Jason Reynolds' video writing prompts. I tallied them up the other day, and I think there are 29, but I feel like I probably missed some somewhere. There are probably even more than 29 because I'm not sure why he would stop at exactly 29. But anyway, he has this whole lovely series of writing prompts that he made for the Library of Congress, and they're called Write, W-R-I-T-E, Write, R-I-G-H-T, Write, R-I-T-E. And as with everything that Reynolds does, it's obviously he created these like directly for students. He was thinking about kids. He was thinking what would be fun for them. He comes up with prompts like who in your family would make a good bobblehead doll, like describe them as a bobblehead. There are titles like Explain Love to a Magical Pet and Imagine a Remote Controls the World. Just all these fun writing prompts, and you can just use them for free. You just play that couple minutes of Jason Reynolds talking and describing the writing prompt for your students and then let them write. Now, you can use that as part of a creative writing series, or you can use it in conjunction with grammar concepts that you want to practice or vocabulary words that you want students to practice. You could easily queue up a video like design a bobblehead doll of somebody in your family and then say, and use these 3 vocabulary words that we want to practice today, or and use 2 appositives as you write, because that's the grammar that we're practicing. And that way you're able to sort of work in whatever standard or important bit of work in combination with the creativity and the fun of bringing in Jason Reynolds' video prompt. Okay, next, let's talk about the documentary about Jason Reynolds called Dear Dreamer. I love this little mini documentary. It's only 10 minutes long. You can watch it. You can either see if it feels right to play the whole thing for your students or find a short clip for your students. One of my favorite things in it is that you get to see what his desktop looks like, and it is absolutely stuffed with documents, and my own desktop is frequently like absolutely overflowing with stuff that I'm working on. So for me, that was a fun point of connection with Jason Reynolds. But the cool thing about this documentary is that it really dives into more of his history, his relationship with his mom, his work in schools, his motivation for writing, like the questions that kids have asked him that he kind of keeps with him as he's writing. For me, it was just absolutely wonderful to watch. So even if you don't end up sharing it with students, I would really recommend it for you when you're going to teach Jason Reynolds. To have watched this documentary will just give you more perspective on his experience and what he's bringing to the table for your students. Okay. Another quick video that I want to recommend is an interview that Jason Reynolds did with PBS about the role of verse novels in helping reluctant readers become more enthusiastic readers. And one of the first things he says is, if you were to tell me that you were afraid of dogs, I wouldn't then return to you with a pack of pit bulls. And he's just talking about how when we have a student who's really like print shy, just not comfortable reading longer novels, it can be so helpful to give them something really approachable like a verse novel. And I have to admit, it took me a little bit of time to understand how great verse novels are, but Jason Reynolds was one of the first authors to kind of show me the way. Then came Kwame Alexander and Megan Freeman and Lisa Phipps, and now I am fully on board. But you may have colleagues who haven't had a chance to read Jason Reynolds and Kwame Alexander and Megan Freeman and Lisa Phipps, and they may not be too familiar with verse novels. And if you're trying to start a conversation in your department about how a verse novel might play a role in your curriculum or in your book clubs or your choice reading library, and you'd like to just kind of start this conversation, how can this be a powerful tool at our school? Playing this short clip of Jason Reynolds explaining it could be a fantastic starting point of conversation. He does it so beautifully, and he makes this very compelling argument for his own work and the work of many other authors now who are writing in this new kind of genre. Okay, last but not least, I want to talk about his piece For Everyone, which is, I hardly know how to describe it. It's really a long poem, but it's almost like a long poem that is also a graduation speech, that is also like a love letter to kids who are dreaming of something. And it's also been turned into this beautiful video performance. He reads the whole thing out loud or recites the whole thing on YouTube in this video that he's created. And it's amazing. So when I first read it, I thought, okay, this is like the perfect book to give to every senior graduating that has become like really connected to English, who you want to give a little gift to at the end of the year. But then I thought, okay, now there's this beautiful version on YouTube. You can give all your seniors a card at the end of the year with a QR code that leads to this video version online and basically give them all the book through the video version. Sure, you could still give the actual print copy to students as like part of your English award or something like that at your school. But you could play this on the last day, or you could give everybody a card with the QR code inside, because it's just really stunning. And as with all these videos I've mentioned, I'm going to embed it in the show notes at nowsparkcreativity.com. And I hope you'll watch it there, or you'll look it up on YouTube. Just look up Jason Reynolds For Everyone and watch him perform this poem. It's stunning. Okay, my friend, now you're ready to mix and match all of this wonderful Reynolds. I've laid out a lot of options here, like a smorgasbord of Jason Reynolds goodness. Maybe you've got room for a verse novels book club and you can maybe incorporate Long Way Down. Or maybe you can feature Ain't Burned All the Bright for a book trailer Tuesday this year. Or maybe you're going to share For Everyone with your seniors in June and put a QR code up to that verse novels interview in your department office to spark conversations. There are a whole bunch of options here. You could try it all, or you could dive into one or two of these things. To me, Jason Reynolds' work is just such a gift to our work, and I'm very excited for you to explore all that he has put out into the world. Thanks so much for joining me today for this deep dive on Jason Reynolds' wonderful work. Until next time, take care of yourself and stay creative.